just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right, this is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 221. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz, and the New York Knicks season is over. The Indiana Pacers defeat the Knicks yesterday at Madison Square Garden and take the series in 7. So now both the Nets and Knicks seasons are completed, and we move into the summer and the offseason. But yesterday, the Knicks, they had injuries. They could not overcome them. OG Anunoby tried his best. Josh Hart tried his best. And ultimately, the Pacers were too much for the Knicks. And give me some relief, Alex. Good morning. How are you?
Well, at least someone's happy. I mean, I'm not great, man. It's just great season. Absolutely wonderful. I'll never forget it, honestly. And a year where they proved me wrong throughout, and it just got better and better and better and better at every turn, every move just got better and better and better and better. But I can't help but feel cheated. I can't help but just feel like what if, and it's just another long list of what ifs to my Knicks list of what ifs in my life and just in this franchise's history. And it just sucks, man. Like I said on the last episode, I'd rather win 17 games than get to the precipice of a championship and feel like you can actually taste it just to have it taken away by injuries. And you know, the 54-win Melo year is only looked back fondly because it ended up being the high point of that era. You know, but right after that series, when they lost to the Pacers too, you know, we were upset as Knicks fans and like, oh man, this sucks. Like, I can't believe it, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So right now, I can't look back at the season like, you know, wow, what an accomplishment. Like, you know, because of the injuries, it is an accomplishment. I don't want to say that. I do look back at this season. Let me rephrase. You know, I do look back at the season fondly, and I'll always remember this season. And it was one of those years that were magical. There were magical comebacks, the injuries, the team fought, they showed who they really are, and it was great. But at the end of the day, I just feel cheated. I feel cheated with the amount of injuries that they had. Jalen Brunson ends the year breaking his hand, and it's just like, are you kidding? You know, and it's just it just hurt, man. It hurt. It really hurt seeing. You know, the Pacers, you know, have every right to celebrate. The Pacers fans have every right to celebrate. But it just feels a little, you know, dirty knowing like you know, you didn't get our best. And, you know, you can sit up there with your Reggie Miller hoodie, Halliburton at the podium and talk your trash. But you know what? It just looks a little fugazi, you know, in the words of Kenyon Martin. You know, it really does. And it's just like, all right, yeah, you got us. But you know what, Halliburton, you averaged under 20 points per game at the Garden this series. So stop acting like you own MSG. You talk trash to some fan in the front row. You're trying to be like Reggie Miller. You're talking trash to Deuce McBride, who's like half your size, calling him small. And when he turns around and looks at you, you act like you're scratching your nose. You know, it's just like, come on, man. You know, this guy, like this. It just sucks, man. And I know I'm rambling and I'm venting here on this podcast, and I just feel cheated. That's just the bottom line. I just really, really do feel cheated.
Yeah, I mean, I'll sympathize for you, the human being here on Bad Weather Fans, not the Twitter version of you. And I think a lot of the people that know you and enjoy you and get to know you on social media, I definitely think would enjoy it, and to a lot of other Knick fans. And I get it. I have no sympathy for Knick fans at all. I'm just going to be completely honest, especially after what the Nets endured in 2021 and all the shit talk that compiled down my way. It's hard for me to look at the Knicks and their fans and have any kind of sympathy for having injuries hurt your season. Part of the game, and I said this on the last episode, you know, tough shit. And it's just the way it goes. And it's why it's really difficult to win an NBA championship, because so many things have to break right. And now I'm not just talking about the shots that go in. We're talking about the battle of staying healthy. It's a really difficult task. And the Pacers, to their credit, and what I thought would make them strong in this series, and I obviously came true in fruition, is their depth and their ability to create open shots just destroyed the Knicks time and time again, right? Like the amount of open shots they had for three. And yeah, I understand your frustration with Halliburton. I would probably be annoyed at him too if he did all that, but he came into game 7 and he put on a clinic early and just essentially ended that game right away. Now the Knicks made their furious comeback in the third quarter, cut it to 6. Things got dicey, but then again, all of that energy that was exerted to get it to 6, the Pacers just came right back. And actually, at the end of the third quarter, actually extended the lead to 17, and it was a plus Pacers win in the third quarter. But Halliburton in game 7 was tremendous. All of the Pacers were, we won't take into account just how good some of the role players were for Indiana. They all had A+ series, all of them, and starting with TJ McConnell, who just every time you thought the Knicks made a little bit of a run, he had a 6-foot fadeaway in the paint where he just got in there and did whatever he wanted, or had a slip pass to Miles Turner or Pascal Siakam, and it was just too much for the Knicks. They couldn't endure it. And again, I say this with all love and respect out there, Knicks fans. Tough shit. It's just part of it. And it's difficult. I mean, I saw a team in the Nets in 2021 who, in my opinion, faced the worst amount of injuries a team could face and nearly beat the Bucks, who were light years ahead of this Pacers team, who ended up winning an NBA championship, because that's just how good the Nets were with Durant. But it cost them. So I know exactly how you feel. And that was a Nets team that was pretty much a lock to win the title in most people's eyes. I wouldn't call the Knicks anywhere close to a lock, but a team that's definitely was in the mix if healthy.
I hear what you're saying, comparing the Nets, but maybe I hear what you're saying because I know what you're going to say. You're like, the level of talent that got injured is comparable to the amount of players the Knicks got hurt. But to me, I can't buy that, because the Knicks came into the playoffs without Julius Randle, and I know I'm not the biggest fan of him, and he hasn't been great in the playoffs. But if he's in these series, you don't know what that's going to be. So they were already down one guy going into this playoffs. You lose Mitchell Robinson, you lose Bogdanovich, you lose OG Anunoby. Josh Hart is injured, playing injured. Jalen Brunson is playing injured. These are like 7 guys on a team that are injured. Like, this is not like, oh, this guy's out a game or two, Harden's playing injured, Kyrie's hurt, and you still have Kevin Durant who's fully healthy. Like, the Knicks didn't have their star player healthy at all, and he was still dropping 40 bombs on the Pacers. So, it's frustrating, and really quick I'll finish up on the Pacers and then we can really go into this, but because I know you want to rebuttal, but I just have to give credit. Like, Rick Carlisle, like wasn't a fan of him in the beginning of the series, but one thing that he did in this game that really took the Knicks out of this was he told his team after every Knicks bucket, it's a fast break, because it got the crowd out of the game early, because the Knicks would hit a big shot and before you know it, boom, the Pacers on the other end with a layup. Like, the crowd couldn't even like sit down and cheer, like sit down after cheering before they're like, oh fuck, like, you know what I mean? So there's that. But go ahead. I know you want to go back on the Nets.
Well, yeah, I'll answer that part first, because I said that.
Yeah,
I didn't say it'd be exactly fast break after each basket, but I said this Pacer team over time is going to wear the Knicks down. And that game 7, they looked fresh. They were flowing. I mean, there was 1 3 in particular. I don't remember exactly who hit it, but I know what you're talking about. And it turned into a 2-on-1.
Right.
And
right.
It was incredible for them. I will backtrack a little bit, because I don't think it's fair to minimize, one, how big of injuries those are when you're a top-heavy team and you lose James Harden, who was an MVP candidate that year, and Kyrie Irving, who was your 3rd best player, when the Nets are built on top. But including all that, we can play the same game. Mm-hmm. Spencer Dinwiddie was out for the season that year, who was their 6th man, who got hurt, ended the season. LaMarcus Aldridge, one of their big free agent pickups in the middle of the year, who was their center and they're big in that series, who was there, who's going to help in the paint, decided to retire. So they lost him right before the playoffs. Spencer Dinwiddie wasn't there. Not to mention, because no Knicks fan is going to remember this, Jeff Green missed 4 games in that Nets-Bucks series. 4 games Jeff Green missed. And let me remind everybody that Jeff Green was averaging 12 points per game off the bench for the Nets and was their best 6th man. So they lost him for 4 games in that series. But we don't have Dinwiddie, we don't have Aldridge, we don't have Jeff Green. Now let's take away Kyrie Irving in game 3 with the Nets up 2-0, and James Harden, who was clearly not himself, hobbled by hamstrings. So we can go with the superstar route, or we can go with the route of the Nets and their depth. Now, it sucks for both of us, and this is a bigger complaint of who's the bigger loser. But my point is, it's not just the stars there. Nets had some injury issues too. They just overcame them because Durant was that good.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has like the minor players, like the mid players get hurt, like the Jeff Greens or the Dinwiddies get hurt. Like the Pacers also were out without
Right.
Mathurin, so I get that. It's just the amount of players that the Knicks lost in a short amount of time. It's just absurd. And I get it. It does make sense. It's definitely a comparison. It definitely is an argument, and I get it. I'm not diminishing it too much. I'm not,
Of course.
even here to fight. I'm just saying, like, and maybe it's
You're
just
in
because I'm in the moment right now. It's just like I just have never seen a team lose this many rotation players in a short amount of time, like ever. Like, you know what I mean? This
Thibs.
amount, yeah, Tibbs. And I can't even blame Tibbs. You know what I mean? If people are going to blame him, it's just lazy. Like we said this on the last episode, we're in in it with them, and you are too, because you're a fan of basketball in New York, and we do this podcast, so the day to day, and you can see these injuries. The Julius Randle one, he gets undercut by Jaime Jaquez on a freak accident. That's not on Tibbs. Jalen Brunson breaks his hand.
Well,
That's not on Tibbs.
no.
Bogdanovich, that's not on Tibbs. Mitchell Roberts gets thrown to the ground by Embiid. That's not on Tibbs. You know what I'm saying? Josh Hart strains his abdomen by fighting for a rebound. Like, how was that on Tibbs? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just, I don't know. I mean, you guess you can argue the Josh Hart one because he's out on the floor the entire
whatever.
game, and who knows? And I don't know, but I'm not a doctor. It is what it is.
No. I mean, he's got to play. He's got to play all these minutes. This is a big spot. He's going to do it. The Randall thing is interesting because coming from you too, I'm curious because of how much Knick fans did not trust him in the playoffs. And now it's almost like because he didn't play, his value grew larger because every Knick fan was so, Julius Randle in the playoffs. You can't trust him. He's got to show up. He's got to show up because he's terrible. Now, because he's not there, he's included in the bucket list of reasons why they did not do well. But the truth of the matter is, and because it didn't become a narrative talk line, is because he was gone. He was gone so long that he almost became irrelevant to the Knicks at the time. I mean, I think for New York, one of the best parts of his injury, not that there's good parts, is that because he was hurt so early, the Knicks team developed a new identity based with him not there, which did help. It wasn't like he got hurt a week before the playoffs. All of a sudden, you're not without your second best player, and it changes everything a little bit. They were able to get into form with the roster that they had, which did help. But let's not forget that Julius Randle wasn't exactly, everybody's favorite player. Like there was a lot for him to prove in the playoffs, and essentially because he didn't play is going to get a pass because now it's like, the Knicks could have used him, which is true. They could have used all-star level Julius Randle, but every playoff he had for the last couple of years had been a disaster. And now it's like, we didn't have Julius Randle, but we're all the Knicks fans saying, we can't win with him. Now it's like, we needed him to win. So I know it's going to say, well, it changed because Brunson has ascended and DiVincenzo got better and he'll have less of a superstar role. And it's more of, can he guard Siakam in the post? So I can do it. I can understand where the Knicks fans are going to, what are they going to say back?
Another body. It's another body.
Yeah. Right. But at the same time, let's pretend like, we lost that guy that was so reliable in the playoffs. So, it's a little bit of that true.
I do think that they are a better team without him if everybody's healthy. I do think so. But I also say that they need to replace him. You can't just pluck a guy out of the team and then not replace him and be like, you see, they're so much better with, there would have been so much better with him. And it's just like, yeah, well, if we're talking about how to build a franchise with contracts and a salary cap, you can't just pluck a guy off a roster and expect them to fix that in the middle of the season. Like if you in the offseason essentially trade Julius Randle and get something for him that fits better with this team, that's a better player, like dare I say somebody like Markkanen, who you pluck into that power forward role, who can pop threes and legitimately be an all-star as well. Now you're cooking. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but if you can't do that and you just take him off the team, it's difficult, and especially when your entire team is getting injured, you're like, all right, well, you know what? We can use Randall right now because we need somebody here. Who are we turning to? I mean, Precious Achiuwa, bless his heart, he's a good player, but he's not Julius Randle. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not. he was the third string center coming into the playoffs and for a reason. And he's really good. They don't get a lot of where they are without him, like in regular season, but he's not that great. You know what I'm saying? Like he is what he is, he's a hustle player, but back to Thibs also, it's like he has to not I don't like I don't know if we touched about it on here or if I was on the old Westbury radio for that interview, but like I don't think it's all just the minutes. Like he's playing the players too much. He's playing the players too much. Because when you get to the playoffs, you've got to play everybody. Like Kevin Durant played 50 minutes in that overtime game they lost to the Bucks. Yeah, like you got to play your guys at the end of the year. But when there's a blowout in February and there's 4 minutes left in the game, can you pull your starters? Like it's you don't have to play your guys to the end of every single game. Like I understand, like that's where you can get better. I don't think that they got hurt because of that, but I just feel like that's some point where he can improve, but he has changed a lot. And I do think he deserved his extension. He did prove me wrong. He did change. And, because if he didn't change, they wouldn't have got to where they are. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he was always too stubborn. Like he wouldn't take out Kemba and then he put Kemba back in and then he wouldn't take him out again. And it's just like, he wouldn't put Kemba in when he was playing well. It's just like, there was just so stupid, like things back and forth with Fournier. He was shoving him in there. It's just like now he's gotten less stubborn, which is good. So maybe he'll learn from there. But he's here to stay, and there's nothing we could do about it. But now we're back, this offseason mode. Just we joined the Nets fishing, and here we go. Now we're gonna talk about the draft, and the Knicks have 2 picks, and what are they gonna do?
And now it's I'm so happy to have you in the loser pool with me.
It's
to all the Knicks fans, welcome to Loserville. You're here. Yeah, we went to the second round. You did right,
but we lost. Yeah.
But you did right. You didn't go to the 4th round. You went to the 2nd round. Right. You won one more game than last year when it's all said and done. One more game. I thought the Pacers were a tough matchup for the Knicks because of all that energy, because of all that speed, and clearly OG Anunoby. Thank God they did not play him more minutes because it was uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, he couldn't move
up and down the court. He
hit those 2 shots though. That was crazy.
2 great shots, but he was such a liability on defense that if you can't rely on him for his unbelievable defensive play, which is why they traded him, Siakam was basically just like one step goodbye. He couldn't laterally
They fed him.
move.
Yeah,
and as they should all game. And Anunoby, if that game was going on, was going to be he was going to either really hurt himself or really give up some bad plays on defense. And he wasn't going to make miraculous 3 after miraculous 3. At some point that was going to wear off. So it was clear early he was not the same player. And I think what it did do, and it didn't matter because Indiana was so good early, but it gave a little extra juice to the Knicks fans and the crowd and a little bit of some false hope. Because they went out and, you're like, oh, Anunoby's back. But it wasn't,
it wasn't Anunoby.
It wasn't Anunoby. Yeah. It wasn't even close.
It was Anna. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Which is Anna. And it was, I will say, since I turned 41, the Pacers went 4-1 versus the Knicks. And the series really wasn't even, there was one blowout win for the Knicks. Everything else, game 3 was close. And this is why this Knicks Pacers series reminded me so much of that Nets Bucks series in so many ways. The games were different. But it had so much comparison where Nets went up 2-0 versus the Bucks. They had that blowout win. They did those games without Jeff Green, by the way. And then you go back to Milwaukee in that game 3. And I remember saying this on this podcast. I think it was like episode 67. I was like, that game 3, they lost it. Fuck them. You could feel it. And that same game 3, fuck the Knicks. And that game 4 was a blowout for the Bucks, a blowout for the Pacers. Game 5 was the miraculous home win. That was the Durant game where he poured in 50 and was out of bounds.
Amazing.
Good.
Yeah,
And the game 5 was Jalen Brunson did the same thing. The crowd was great. Then 6 and 7 went to the other team. It was the same second round, same series. It really was. It was weird.
And it's crazy because without Nembhard hitting that miraculous 3 at the end of game 3, that was like a lucky shot, man. He lost the ball. He flinged it up. He hit the shot. Props to him, but it was a lucky shot. And if he misses that and the Knicks win game 3, they go up 3-0. They win the series in 5. Josh Hart doesn't get hurt.
Yep.
It's just you're in the Eastern Conference Finals and resting, and it's wild how all of that. But Sixers fans will say the same thing.
Of course.
DiVincenzo doesn't hit that crazy shot and the bouncing around, even though the Knicks did a lot more than just a step back 3 by bobbling the ball, and like they earned that 3 from DiVincenzo with the offensive rebound, the bouncing 3 by Brunson, and then in reverse. But you know what I'm saying. So it's just. That was it. That's a series, and that's the NBA, and that's what makes this sport the best. It really does. And out of all the sports, that I grew up watching with basketball, baseball, and football, basketball is the one. The NBA is the one that's the most closely to what it always was. And football's changed so much with the rules, and they don't care about the fans, and it's just not. It's almost not the same sport I grew up watching with all the passing and everything like that. And I don't want to sound like an old fart, but. It's just sometimes it's unrecognizable to me. You can't hit anybody, and baseball just like it's just gotten just a little too ridiculous in the DH and everywhere, and the pitch clock, which I like, but then the runner on second in extra innings, and I don't have to go through all the rules, but it's just the sports are changing so much, basketball, football, and baseball. And basketball to me has stayed the most besides the chucking up threes and stuff like that. But that's just a style of play. You know what I mean? You can't fight somebody, but other than that, it's the same sport. And that's why the NBA is the best. And it's just come playoff time, there's nothing better than the NBA.
No, it's a ride, and it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
That's it. Donovan Mitchell, huh?
I just want to defend Halliburton for a second. Like, I got DiVincenzo after game 5, which is a bad karma move, going on social media and doing the Spider-Man thing where he's putting the glasses on. Tobey Maguire's taking the glasses off, and he doesn't see Tyrese Halliburton, but now he sees Ben Simmons because of how
that was him. I don't think he did. Did he do that? I didn't see that.
Google Dante DiVincenzo, Ben Simmons.
Okay.
Like, why are you poking the bear there, man? Like, he got.
I didn't think DiVincenzo was on social. Was it like Instagram?
Yeah, it was Instagram. He got too full of himself, and he's doing shit like that. I mean, I don't blame Halliburton for wanting to go back at him. I mean, it's healthy for a rivalry, but
and like going through some of the quotes on the game after the game, and like the Pacers quotes are kind of annoying. Like. Halliburton wearing the Reggie Miller hoodie with the choking thing, even though that's a series the Knicks won, which is just ridiculous, that they take so much pride in that, but whatever. He's like, I'm just wearing a hoodie. I'd like to be comfy on the plane. I got this hoodie 2 days ago. Appreciate whoever gave it to me. Like, come on, bro. Like, stop being such a clown. Like, that's just such a clown. Like, it's not even a good troll. And
I liked it.
Rick Carlisle saying when you win a game 7 at Madison Square Garden, you've made history. And okay, you did, but half the team was hurt.
So you said it. I mean, winners win. This is not my words; they're yours. Winners win, losers make excuses.
Yeah, but when I said that, the Knicks were healthy for the most part. I mean, they were without Julius Randle and Bogdanovich, was Bogdanovich? Yeah, he got hurt I don't remember when he got hurt. Whatever, it all flushed together for me.
Somewhere early Philly.
So it was in the Philly series. Okay, yeah, I just can't, I don't remember. There's so many injuries I can't keep track. And Mitchell Robinson, was trying to fight through it, and everybody was healthy for the most part. And with OG Anunoby, the Knicks don't lose, and they don't lose back-to-back games. They never have still. So it's I was way more confident. But so like that's why, like, looking back on my video then and people trying to throw it in my face, it's like, well, like a lot changed from then. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So like that's what bothers me about that.
Oh, of course, a lot did change. But Alex, I'm just using your quote, winners win. This is all, everything you said was an excuse. So
it's not an excuse. It's a fact. It's a fact that the injuries happened.
You can't have a video and be that stern in your stance and then go back on it.
I'm not going back on it.
Having your cake and eating it too. These are excuses.
It's not an excuse.
Jalen Brunson on the court at the Garden can't lose. He did.
Did I say that? That he can't lose in the
There's
Garden?
tweets out there. Jalen Brunson at home in the Garden, doesn't matter who's out there with him, can't lose. And he did.
Right.
He did.
That I was wrong about. That was just me being an excited fan. Sure.
Yes.
That's fine. I can take the L on that one. But saying the Pacers will sweep, like the Knicks will sweep the Pacers, which I still think they would have if they had OG Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson healthy, which they should have. I'm sorry.
Here's the beautiful part about that conversation.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like, and I know we'll hear it all day. If the Pacers were healthy, if this was healthy, and I'll just say,
The Knicks healthy. Yeah.
Wow, you know what? We could have. I would love. Unfortunately, that conversation is in your head, and on Twitter, and in a fake reality.
It
Because
is.
the
It's
real
over.
part is Indiana is in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Knicks aren't. So we can have that conversation, and I'm looking forward to enjoying that conversation all day on sports radio. If the Knicks were healthy, ah,
And I'm not
can't
listening
wait.
to sports radio at all today.
I don't
I don't
blame
want
you.
to hear
I don't
shit.
blame you. I don't
I
blame
just
you.
want to do my work, and that's it. And I know you call Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson like they know how to work the crowd and whatever you call them exactly. I forgot, but like I forgot what you said.
I don't.
You said something along the lines of they know how to play the game, like they know how to play
Sure.
the media game and whatever. And there's a video of out there on social media that after the game, like, and you would love this. I think this is completely authentic. Quotes after in a press conference or in the locker room is one thing, but Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, when they pulled out of the arena, they got out of their cars and they dapped up fans out in the street,
I saw that.
outside of the Garden. Like that's respectable. That shows like they really love it and they really love the fans and they're just the two guys that are our guys. And Josh Hart, excuse me, said it in a quote. This is the last quote I'll read, and he goes, Josh Hart, I'm battling through his abdominal strain and playing game 7. He goes, it's game 7 at the Garden for me. It's go out there and do as much as I can. At the end of the day, I'm going to walk out of here with my head held high. I felt like I gave everything I could this season. And then he goes on and says, it was my 4th team, 6th coach. I want a home. I wanted a home. I got to thank the fans for embracing me. I'm not perfect. There's a lot of ups and downs with Josh Hart. They've embraced me. Like he wants to be a Knick for life.
Yes.
And Jalen Brunson does too. And you got to embrace guys like that. And you would love them if they were Nets. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So
Of course, just like
let's
Knick
move
fans,
on.
just like Knick
Yeah.
fans would love TJ McConnell
Oh,
if he wasn't on the
listen.
Pacers and what he does
TJ
off the bench.
McConnell is not like, let's say, Chase Utley, who I want to kill for injuring players. He's just a pain in the ass. And I look at TJ McConnell with respect. And I'm like, I would love this guy on my team. He's not like, Reggie Miller or something like that, where he's flopping everywhere.
Told you the respect would be earned by the end of this series. There's a lot of those Pacer players.
Listen,
Now were like,
I've seen McConnell for years. He
but
had
other
that
than
game winner
McConnell.
over Melo when he was with the Sixers, where he shoved him in the chest with a forearm and pushed Melo out of the way and spun around, hit a jumper. Look up that one on YouTube. That was a foul. Got to review that one. Let's go back. But anyway, let's move on.
I'm 85% sure that Josh Hart purposely fouled out of that game because he wanted a standing ovation.
It was time.
I think
either way, Thibs is going to take him out.
Fuck it. I want my flowers. I'm convinced of it.
At that point, I had the game on, but I was mostly on Twitter and just because I knew it was over, and I was just like watching like what people were saying and stuff like that. So I didn't even realize he fouled on purpose. I just know.
I don't know. Yeah.
I honestly don't remember the play because I was barely watching at that point. I was just like, oh, it was on, but it was one of those like this game's over. I can barely watch.
Well, yeah. Well,
once Brunson had the broken hand, they're like, all right, well, any chance we really had, even if we win this game somehow miraculously, the season's over. So what are we doing? Might as well end it now.
Yeah, and they were down 18 with 3 minutes left in the third when he went out. So I think a lot of people were just, me included, early on, was just thinking, wow, Thibs is giving him extended rest. And then when it got to 9-8 minutes, it's like, wait a minute. Something's not
Brunson's
right
not
here.
on the bench. When Dad's not on the bench, then something's off. So.
And we'll get into full off-season modes, man, because now it's
so the Nets getting Donovan Mitchell. Now you have your Donovan Mitchell summer. We had ours.
Man. I'm
now
just so happy. I the kickoff to summer isn't, unfortunately now because the Knicks are good. The kickoff to summer isn't Memorial Day weekend. It's when the Knicks are eliminated. It's now the summer. Like in my mind, I can now relax.
Can watch baseball.
Enjoy. Yeah. I mean, what's interesting too, Alex? I was rooting for Denver in the series.
Yeah.
And the second the Knicks lost, I completely went to Minnesota.
I love Minnesota. Me too.
But it was like in my head, I said, I don't think the Knicks could beat Denver. Maybe Minnesota. So who gives a fuck? I want Minnesota to keep going. And it totally shifted, which is crazy.
That is. And you know how crazy I am also. And this is how we're similar. I want the Timberwolves to win a championship because I want everybody to laugh at Danny Ainge because he traded Gobert in this trade and he's a genius. And meanwhile, like, okay, well, you got all these draft picks, but the Timberwolves won a championship. So who really won the trade? You can win your trade, quote unquote, but guess what? We're holding a trophy. So where's yours? Your last one was 15 years ago, once in 30 years of being a GM. Whatever.
I'll tell you what the NBA wants. I think would be really good. Would be Kyrie return to Boston. for a finals. Would be a
that would be
must
good.
watch.
That would be good.
And
That
as
would make me
somebody that
root for
has
Boston.
a history with Kyrie, but him back in Boston, I think would make for a compelling NBA Finals.
Yeah. But I don't think they love Anthony Edwards as being a face of this league, but he's coming because he's very immature, but it's immature in a fun way to me with the DX chop and I don't condone the homophobic stuff he did. That I think he's young and he's learning and he apologized and whatever. But yeah, I don't condone that. But other than that, like I think he's got it all, and he was great as an actor in that movie Hustle on Netflix and with Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the whole package, man. And if he was in New York, he would already be like this. Look at what Jalen Brunson is. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So
with
he's
personality.
Thanks,
Nas Reed yesterday was so good.
I couldn't watch basketball after the Knicks lost. I was done. I'm like, I don't care. Like, as I'm sure you would be.
When the Nets lost to the Bucks in the second round 3 years ago, I didn't watch a second after. I couldn't tell you anything from that Bucks Suns final. Nothing. Oh yeah. I watched zero. I couldn't.
I remember that. I bet on DeAndre Ayton winning the Finals MVP. he had like a big game one. I'm like, and then that didn't work out.
Yeah. All right. Well, Alex, we'll get into full off-season mode. We don't have to do it here, but the questions that will be surrounding both teams: Knicks, Julius Randle, all the picks. What do they do to get another dynamic scorer alongside Jalen Brunson? The Nets have a bajillion questions as well. Mikal Bridges rumors. What are they going to do with all these Phoenix Suns draft picks? Do they get Donovan Mitchell? I mean, it's going to be approaching fast, and will be a very interesting offseason for two teams. Knicks now looking at that next level. Can they get there? Nets, which direction do they go? Is it full rebuild, or are they going to star hunt in the offseason? Will be
they're going to star
interesting.
They're going to
star. You're right.
That's what the Nets do. They star hunt.
I think it'll be a quick fix. Be entertaining if they could do it, but long haul won't get them anything.
At least they got to get Garland. They can't go star hunting and then end up with nothing. You know what I mean? I would think the Nets really and Garland's not a bad consolation prize if you don't get Donovan Mitchell, but you get Garland. I think that's really.
They got to do something.
They got to.
They have to make a direct. Like
they got to get some juice back in the franchise. Yeah,
pick a direction. If you're going to rebuild. If you're going to go after it. But this stuck in the middle where
they're at the fork in the road. Pick a road. Pick a way.
Hey, man.
Can't go straight like Jay-Z.
Unfortunately, and fortunately, depending on you look at it, both teams now in the loser section headed on over. Great year for the Knicks.
It was.
I will say, Dante DiVincenzo took a stride. Jalen Brunson took a step. All the guys got better in real time.
Yeah.
Credit to the Knicks. They had an awesome year.
Right. They got to pay. Thank you. They got to pay Hartenstein and OG Anunoby. Those are the two big free agents. They got 2 first-round picks. Hartenstein's going to get a bag. Someone's throwing a bag at him, but the Knicks aren't going to let OG Anunoby go after trading RJ and quickly. They're not, and then how good they are with him on the floor when he's healthy, like they're not letting him go. Hartenstein, somebody might throw something at him and be like, all right, well, we can't do this, kind of a thing.
And for better or worse for OG, he's not healthy. He is injury prone. He is, but you have to trade quickly and Barrett, and then basically get no return.
Precious Achiuwa.
Would be a disaster. They have to re-sign him, and if he's injured a lot,
so be it.
Rolling the dice.
Yeah,
if he's healthy, you got a dynamic guy who can defend and knock down shots,
and fits perfectly next to Brunson. Exactly, and they know he's signing because OG Anunoby's agent is Leon Rose's son. So regardless of what we say, they can't let him go. They already know they're signing him. I honestly. I give OG Anunoby so much respect for playing last night, even without a contract, because whether you have an under-the-table deal or not already with the team, risking your future for the Knicks and going out there and trying to play is so commendable to me that here in my respect forever, because no matter what that deal is between Leon Rose and his son, if OG Anunoby has a serious career-altering injury, they're going to pull the offer. It is what it is.
Oh, you can have all the relationships in the world, but if he goes out there and does something, it's like,
sorry, son. I mean, what do you want me to do?
It's the reality of the business of it. So that's why I say this, Alex. I wonder if there weren't so many of these connections between the two the two sides, like would they have pushed it further with OG out there? I don't know.
Or would he have not pushed it at all? That's the other thing too.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Because I mean, you see it the first 3 minutes, he should never have played.
But he hit those two shots. It was like, holy shit! We like, look at this guy, like, especially that one in the corner where he's like, it was off balance.
Yeah,
I was believing. I'm like, but I literally couldn't get excited because every single time I got excited, the Pacers had a freaking layup on the other end. Every single time, and it was just like that took the crowd completely out of the game. And it was a great strategy, man. It really was.
I swear to God, the Pacers missed 3 shots. It was like a Halliburton layup, a Miles Turner layup. They like missed layups.
Yeah.
But they just, oh man, they pick and rolled the Knicks to death. And Siakam or Turner had a 14-footer wide open. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Automatic every single time. The Knicks defense was terrible.
It was
in this series. It was bad.
Well, in game 7, I feel like they were playing defense early. The Pacers just couldn't miss. And like there's only so much you can do. But by the second half, when the Pacers wanted it more. I mean, I know the Knicks were getting overwhelmed with injuries and everything like that. But the guys on the floor, the inbounds passes twice in a row, where you get a 5-second violation and then somebody steals it, and it's just was like come on, and that's when we're making they were making their push. That's inexcusable. That's unacceptable for a game 7, and there's no excuse. Injuries or not, you can't. You got to you wake up, man. Call timeout. Do something. So. There's that. But gun to your head, Mike, are the Nets getting Donovan Mitchell?
No.
Okay.
I don't. I think they're going to get somebody. I'm so pessimistic with this franchise. I think they don't do anything. I think they try. I just don't have any faith in the organization to do anything correctly. Like something poor will happen. I just don't see it. And I would be disappointed as hell if they just shift off like 1 million draft picks in Cam Thomas and they just get, Mitchell. And I mean, obviously you see what he can do. I mean, he would elevate the Nets quickly. I can't say that's incorrect, but it wouldn't be enough. It just wouldn't be enough for the long term of this team winning a championship. It just wouldn't do it.
It'd be fun for a little bit.
It'd be better than this hell.
Yeah.
Trust me, it'd be better than this hell. This season was hell. This was one of the worst net seasons I've ever experienced. And it'd be better, right? They'd have some juice, they'd win games, but I mean they'd be in the play-in or they'd lose in the first round.
It'd be like the Paul Pierce Nets, where you're like, all right, we're in the playoffs, but like, is this sustainable? Like, what I mean? What are we doing here? It'd be like that. So I get that. Other
moves around it, but I just don't have faith in Sean Marks to put this together, man. I don't.
But the Nets are the offseason champions. They've been that a few times. So I feel like you should give a little more faith to Sean Marks. I mean, they've
won
been
offseason championship.
I thought they had 2.
What was their second one?
I thought there was the one with Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce when they got them. That was their first one. You were
talking about pre-Sean Marks. I got
you. Yeah. No, but with Sean Marks, I feel like they definitely did more than, in another offseason. I don't know.
We'll do full Knicks previews.
Whatever.
We'll preview the off seasons. That's nice to say out loud. Gross. All right, this has been Bad Weather Fans, episode number 221. Remember,
should know that.
Make sure you check this thing out on YouTube. It was interesting. I did go back, and I recommend it for any fans listening. Go back and listen to episode 69. It was
69.
It was after Nets lost to the Bucks in their game 7. So. If you want to check that out, I think it's just interesting.
I was smiling on that one.
You were. I went and listened back because I was curious.
I was nice.
You were very nice.
Yeah.
But I will say,
I was nice to you, but I was not nice on Twitter.
You were not nice. You were not nice. And I had a lot of people. get in my DMs and say, "Give it back."
Yeah.
And I'm me on Twitter. I can't be. You have to be who you are. I have to be true to that. I'm not gonna go full scorched earth on it, but I will just let everybody listening know, and whoever makes it to the end of this podcast, the joy that I received to see so many Knicks fans displeased and excuse making was a wonderful sight to see. Happy excuse making season, and congrats on your moral victories.
Yeah, well, congrats on not even making the play-in, Mike. Enjoy that without having your draft picks.
Oh, I heard that back. You don't have your draft picks. I said, yeah, no shit.
Enjoy that.
I will.
That. The Knicks have their players locked up. They're all in their prime. They have decisions to make with Anunoby and Hartenstein, and they have 2 first-round picks, and they never use their picks anymore. They trade them, they go back and forth, and then they trade out of them or trade back. Use your picks. This Leon Rose has been good drafting at the end of the first round or early second round with Quickly and Deuce McBride. Jericho Sims is I guess okay. You have that point guard they drafted a couple of years ago that may be coming overseas to play. I forgot his name. I want to say Vildoza, but that's not his name. I forgot his name. But they didn't draft Herbert Jones, and they drafted him instead in the second round. And let's see. There's a lot of hope for the Knicks right now. It feels down, but there's a lot of hope for the Knicks in the future. I just can't believe we're here. I thought we'd at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals, man.
All right, new segment here on the show where we're going to take 2 seconds and pose, and you're going to use this as the cover title in the tweet that goes out this morning.
Okay. Yeah.
You ready? So if you watch it live, I'll make it easier for you too here, okay?
That does make me a lot easier.
3, don't smile. 3, 2, 1.
Right,
looked like I froze if you're watching this. That was pretty good. All right, Alex, this has been Bad Weather Fans, episode 221. Our offseason previews will begin for both the Nets and Knicks hardcore as we get into that. But Alex, congrats to your team on a great season.
And congrats to you on them not getting to the Eastern Conference Finals.
God bless America. Talk to you later.
All right, Mike.